My name is Alicia Hartman, and this is the part of my life I never planned to speak out loud. Because the night everything changed, I wasn't looking for help. I wasn't looking for comfort. And I definitely wasn't looking for someone who would turn my world upside down. But life has a strange way of throwing the right person into your path at the exact moment when everything is falling apart. I was 42, exhausted, and running from someone who used to be on my side. And then there was him. It was a cold, quiet night in downtown Denver. Past 10:30 p.m., the kind of night where the city hum softens, and every noise feels sharper. I walked into a small cafe I had passed many times before but never entered. That night, the warm orange lights glowing through the windows felt like safety. I remember pulling my coat tighter as I stepped inside. The bell on the door chimed, a small sound, but enough to make my heart jump. Because when you're being hunted, even harmless sounds feel like warnings. Behind the counter stood a young man wiping down the espresso machine. His hair was messy, like he'd run his hands through it too many times. He looked up, and when his eyes met mine, he smiled softly, nothing heavy. Nothing flirtatious, just gentle. I hadn't seen a smile like that in a long time. "What can I get you?" he asked. "Chamomile tea," I said, "and a blueberry muffin, if you still have one." "Well," he said, reaching behind him, "looks like you get the last one of the night." Lucky timing. Lucky. If only he knew. I nodded and sat at a corner booth where I could see both the front door and the street outside. I tried to look calm, like any normal woman grabbing a late drink, but I knew he noticed. He kept glancing at me, not intrusively, but with a quiet concern I didn't understand. When he brought my tea, he said, "You look like you've had a long day." I forced a smile. Something like that. He didn't press further. Another rare quality. Most people push. He didn't. For a few minutes, I pretended everything was normal. I opened my satchel, spread out some documents, and scanned them with tired eyes. I'd been carrying these papers for weeks. Evidence that could expose everything. Evidence worth killing for. But no matter how hard I tried to appear calm, my eyes kept drifting to the door. And then, it opened. The moment I saw him walk in, all the blood drained from my face. Tall, cold eyes, black coat, and a presence that froze the air around him. He'd found me. My breath hitched. Panic clawed up my throat, but I forced myself to stay still. If I reacted too quickly, he would know. He always knew. He scanned the cafe slowly, and his gaze landed on me, not a flicker of surprise. No shock, just recognition, like he'd been expecting this moment. I felt my hands go cold. That's when the young barista walked toward me to collect a plate. He noticed something. My rigid posture, maybe my shaking hand, and leaned closer. "Are you all right?" he whispered. I shook my head once, barely noticeable. He didn't ask another question. Instead, he said quietly, "There's a back exit." My eyes snapped to his, warm, steady, completely unaware of the danger he had just stepped into, yet willing to help anyway. I swallowed hard. "Can you show me?" He nodded. But before we could move, the man from my past walked up to the counter. His voice, smooth but sharp, cut through the air. "You open late tonight?" "Until 11, the barista said casually. The man's gaze slid to me. "You here alone?" My heart thudded painfully, but I kept my expression calm. "I'm meeting someone." "Oh?" he said, tilting his head. "Hope they show up." His smile didn't reach his eyes. It was the smile of someone who enjoyed watching fear. He walked to a table facing mine. He wasn't waiting for anything. He was waiting. For me to run. The young barista passed behind me again, pretending to wipe tables. "Follow me," he whispered. I stood slowly, acting like I was stretching my back, and walked behind him. We slipped into a narrow hallway. A single dim bulb flickered overhead. "He's dangerous," I whispered. He didn't even flinch. "Then let's move fast." At the end of the hallway was the metal door leading to the alley. He opened it a crack and looked outside. "Clear." He pushed it open. "Go," he whispered. But something inside me shattered in that moment. The fear, the exhaustion, the months of running alone. I grabbed his wrist. "No, you're coming with me." He stared at me, startled. "What? Why?" "Because when he realizes I'm gone, he'll come after whoever helped me. You won't be safe." He hesitated, but only for a heartbeat. "Okay," he said. "Let's go." We stepped into the cold night air, the metal door shutting sharply behind us. For a moment, I leaned against the brick wall, breathing hard. He watched me quietly, concerned, not scared. "What's going on?" he asked softly. I closed my eyes. This was it. The moment I crossed the line. The moment I pulled an innocent person into a world he didn't deserve. "My name isn't Alicia," I said. "I worked for a federal task force. I uncovered something I wasn't supposed to. Now the people I trusted want me dead. His eyes widened, but not with fear, with understanding. And you came in here tonight because you thought he wouldn't find you, he said. Yes. And he did. Yes. He exhaled slowly, then said something I didn't expect. You're safe with me. My eyes stung unexpectedly. How long had it been since I felt safe around anyone? He stepped closer. Not too close. Just close enough for his voice to reach my ear when he whispered, "Tell me what you need." In that whisper, I felt something warm, something dangerous, something I'd buried years ago. Trust. I looked at him, really looked at him. Too young, too kind, too brave for his own good, but he was the only person on my side. So I whispered back, "Help me, Elle." And that was the moment everything changed. Because I wasn't alone anymore. And for the first time in months, a spark of hope lit inside me, even if danger waited just steps behind us. My name is Alicia, and if you've heard the first part of my story, then you already know how the night began. But what you don't know is how close we came to never seeing daylight again, because escaping the cafe was only the beginning. We moved fast, almost running through the alley behind the building. The cold winter air stung my lungs, but fear kept me warm. Fear and something else. The quiet footsteps of the young man beside me, his presence, his determination, his name, I hadn't even asked. We reached the end of the alley and he finally spoke. Which way? I looked left, then right. Cars passed. Streetlights flickered. But danger was everywhere. We need crowds, I said. Someplace public. He nodded without hesitation. There's a bookstore open late. 2 blocks from here. Follow me. Most people would have been shaking by now, but he wasn't. He stayed calm, even as he scanned the shadows behind us. As we moved through the streets, I studied him, this stranger who had chosen to step into the dark with me. Young, brave, steady in a way that made me feel something unfamiliar. Hope. We reached the bookstore, and the warm lights inside washed over us as the door shut behind us. People browsed quietly. Soft jazz played overhead. For a moment, we looked like any other pair seeking warmth, but my pulse wouldn't slow, because I knew he would follow. We slipped deeper into the aisles. The young man, my accidental protector, kept his head slightly turned, listening for footsteps. You can still leave, I whispered. You don't owe me anything. He turned to me with a seriousness that startled me. I'm not leaving you alone. Something inside my chest tightened. Not fear, not panic, something far more dangerous. Before I could respond, the bell above the door chimed. My blood turned cold. He had found us. He stepped inside casually, as if just browsing. But I recognized the tension in his walk. The way he scanned the store. The way his hand slipped into his coat pocket. He was armed. I ducked behind a bookshelf, and the young man followed me instantly. Is there a back exit? He whispered. No, only a basement. He nodded once, sharp and sure. Then that's where we're going. He took my hand. It was warm, steady, grounding. And in that moment, I needed that warmth more than I needed air. We moved quietly toward the staff door behind the counter. It was slightly open, a sliver of darkness inside. Perfect. The moment we slipped through it, the air shifted. The hallway was narrow and silent. A small sign pointed downward, storage basement. We descended the metal stairs, our footsteps soft. When the door above us closed, the entire world fell into stillness. Only our breathing remained. We found a space behind tall stacks of boxes. It was dark, dusty, and silent. He stood close, his shoulder brushing mine. I could feel the heat radiating from him. Comforting, safe. But the silence was short-lived. Footsteps, slow, measured, descending the stairs. My heartbeat turned into a painful drum. The young man leaned slightly, whispering in the faintest breath, "No matter what happens, I won't let him take you." Those words, I hadn't heard anything like them in years. Then the shadow appeared, long, sharp, unmistakable, moving between the shelves. I held my breath. So did he. The man's footsteps came closer. Closer. So close I could hear the faint creak of his leather gloves. The young man pressed his hand lightly against mine, steadying me, calming me. He didn't let go. But then, a loud crash echoed from the bookstore upstairs. A shout, something falling. The man froze, then turned sharply and stormed back up the steps. The moment the door slammed shut, I exhaled shakily. That was close, the young man whispered. Too close, I said, my voice trembling. We stayed hidden for another minute just to be sure. Finally, he squeezed my hand gently, almost reassuringly, and guided me back up the stairs. When we emerged into the bookstore again, the man was gone. Customers were complaining about a fallen display shelf. The workers were distracted. No one noticed us slip out the side door. The cold night air hit my face like a slap. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded slowly. But the truth was complicated. I was alive, but shaken, terrified, and strangely, dangerously, drawn to the man walking beside me. "We can't go back to your place," I said. "They'll track you." He didn't argue. "Then we go somewhere he won't expect." "Where?" He looked at me with a confidence far beyond his years. "My friend's workshop. No cameras, no address listed. No one knows he owns it except me." I stared at him. "You're risking your life for me." He shook his head. "No, I'm choosing to help you." "That's different." Something warm spread across my chest. Not attraction, at least not only that. Respect, admiration. The feeling of being protected, something I thought I had lost forever. "What's your name?" I finally asked. He smiled softly. "I was waiting for you to ask." "It's Evan." "Evan," I repeated, the name unfamiliar on my tongue, yet strangely comforting. "I shouldn't have dragged you into this." "You didn't drag me," he said gently. I followed. I stopped walking. He stopped too. The streetlight above us flickered, casting golden shadows over his face. Young, yes, but not a boy. Not naive, not reckless. A man who had chosen to stand beside me. "I'm too old for you," I whispered. He stepped closer, just enough to close the cold space between us, but still respectful. "Age isn't what makes someone right or wrong for us," he said softly. "Sometimes it's about timing. And right now, you needed someone. And you're that someone," I whispered. His voice dropped to a quiet certainty. "I am." The words hit deeper than they should have. I felt my chest tighten, not in fear, but in something warmer. Something I hadn't allowed myself to feel in a long time. Trust, safety, maybe even something like connection. He reached out and brushed a strand of hair from my cheek. "Not romantic, not bold, just gentle." "You're not alone anymore," he whispered. My breath caught, because for the first time in months, I believed it. That night, everything changed again. Not because of danger, not because of fear, but because of a truth I hadn't realized until that moment. He wasn't too young for me. He was exactly who I needed. And this story is only just beginning.